Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We rented movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweety and Sweety are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two Sweety sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweety.
And I'm Sweety.
And this week we're continuing on our available by streaming, unless your Roku TV doesn't let you download the Stars app.
Is that the theme of these movies, essentially? You picked ones that...
You told me to. You were like, write down all the movies that are free, that are available to stream.
Oh, okay.
Jeez Louise.
Sorry.
Yes. So,
hey, it's good for everybody. Everybody wins.
Moving right along, today's film is a little thing called
That Thing You Do.
You doing that thing you do. Just, I mean, like the movie, we will sing that song a zillion times, and you'll never get sick of it.
You never get sick of it.
It has to be a really good song, and they
must
did
have been. I think they had a contest to figure out what song it was going to be, and doing some research ended up being the guys, or one of the guys from that band Fountains of Wayne, plural.
I don't fucking
Fountain
know.
of Wayne.
They're probably a one-hit wonder.
Well, they did that song. They do a lot of catchy songs, I feel like, including their number one, which was Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. Yeah, so that's a pretty catchy song, but this song is holy moly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had the CD. I played this.
No, I did. Why are you stealing my... You did too?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Only this song, not the whole soundtrack like you did.
Well, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. So written and directed by Tom Hanks. Way to go, Tom.
Tommy!
Love you as
Our
always.
fave. Oh, man. Tom, is there nothing you can't do? There's nothing you can do. Can't do.
What? Okay. Yep. Yeah. He just wrote a book. Good for him.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Can he sing?
I feel like isn't there a movie where he like sings? No. Not
Can't
well. I don't know. But okay. So released in 1996. Peak of the 90s. Excellent movie. Excellent soundtrack. All around amazing.
Great cast.
We had this on VHS after, I don't know if we bought it. Sometimes at Blockbuster, they would like take off some of their like
what it was.
like new movies. They have so many and they have so many copies. And I think that when it's not new anymore, they put it in the bin and you can buy it.
I think it was a bin.
So we bought it in the Blockbuster bin.
It was a bin buy.
So it had like the Be Kind Rewind and like the Blockbuster tape on it. It was pretty cool.
God. Okay.
But yeah, I
pour one
played
out
that
for
VHS
Blockbuster right now.
Yeah.
Remember when I moved to Brookline? This was in 2007?
Okay.
There was still a Blockbuster there. I used to walk down and rent movies. I rented like Michael Clayton, and I never watched it. Has anyone ever seen that? It's horrible. It's boring as fuck. But there was still a Blockbusters in 2007, and there was one in our town too, and we like were obsessed with it when it
plural.
came.
Everyone always like
Blockbusters?
plural. It's just Blockbuster, right? I think that's like an old like dad would always like put an S on everything.
I'm turning into dad, but secretly I'm like really thrilled.
Yeah, good for you. Good for
But
you and your father.
That's great. But okay, so highlight a Blockbuster though, mid 90s for sure.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So
Remember, it was just like walls of movies.
yeah, it was the best.
And you just like, and it was alphabetical, so you just like walk down. But in the
by
horror was in
genre.
the middle, remember? And we'd like go to the horror part.
No, the horror was at the end.
No, was it in
The
the middle?
new releases were like all the way around, like on the edges.
Yeah.
This was ours on Cape Cod.
Right.
I don't know if they're all like this. Horror was like at the end of that
It
row.
was in like the middle.
No. Maybe in some other stores, but
Maybe
not
middle
in
was like the
Blockbuster.
kid the
Kids was
the
like
vintage
on the left.
movies. No, like the
Vintage
vintage
movies.
Disney white clamshell ones.
What was in the kids section? Those would be the kids section.
No.
Family. Who
Anyway.
knows? Anyways, yeah, so I love this movie so much. I would watch it all the time. I can quote all the lines. I can sing all the songs. It's one of those movies where like you start noticing little like weird funny things, and then you tell your friends, and they're like, "Why do you notice
they
these
tell
things?"
two friends,
and you're
and
like,
they tell
"Listen,
two friends.
listen, I've seen this movie a zillion times. Don't mess with me." Yeah.
You really were like, I just enjoyed watching the expression on your face when you were watching this movie tonight. You were like so happy. It was awesome to watch.
Could be the pot caramel I ate.
Manufactured
No,
happiness.
no.
What the fuck?
It was the movie. This is another one that just always makes me happy. And I just love it. And I watched this recently, and remember you were mad at me. I was like, I watched That Thing You Do. And you're like, hey, save it for the podcast. And I was like, oh, watch it again in a second. Like, I could watch this every day.
In a second.
I could watch this every day, babe style.
Oh my god, is this going to be the theme? So basically, you just picked all your favorite movies. Oh my god, you threw the whole contest.
No. I picked some from my list and some from your
Yeah,
list. So the
God.
Money Pit and the Bodyguard were from yours.
Oh yeah, Bodyguard. That's gonna be amazing. Oh
So-
man, warm up the pipes.
Oh God. Please
I'm every woman.
All right. Okay. Save it for the podcast. All right. So today's podcast, though, That Thing You Do.
Right.
Let's. Do you want to say anything else before we begin? I'm out of things.
Yeah. No, I think we should just go into a little summary. It's time for the Sweety synopsis. Yeah, Sweeties.
Doing that thing you do. I thought you were gonna say it too.
Spartacus.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my thing to do.
I know, but I thought you were gonna do doing that thing you do.
Well, that's I want to say something a little surprising.
Fine.
It's so obvious. Oh my god. Go.
Guy Patterson is a young chap living in Erie, PA, 1964. His father owns an appliance store called Patterson's. Very original. But he's just kind of like living the life in Erie, PA. We don't know how old he is. I'm gonna take a gander, like early 20s. He's a drummer. Did I say that? Yes, he drums. So one day he runs into a couple guys that he knows. We don't know from where. We assume school of some kind. And these men have a band, and they are Jimmy, whose girlfriend is Faye, and Lenny, single, and Chad, the drummer, who's a dickhead, played by Giovanni Ribisi. Everyone's favorite dickhead.
And the bass player?
Oh, yes. And the bass player, who does not have a name, but isn't just TB player. The bass player. So they tell them that they are playing tonight at the Mercyhurst College talent show, which apparently anybody can perform in. You don't have to go to that college to be in the talent show.
It seemed pretty lowbrow.
Yeah, suspect. So later that afternoon, Chad, asshole drummer, gets injured and breaks his arm, so he can't play the drums. So Jimmy and Lenny go to Patterson's and ask Guy if he wants to stand in for him and play the song. So he goes to their garage, learns the little song. It's called That Thing You Do. It's very slow. It's like a slow ballad. It's like Snoozeville's USA. And, I mean, it's nice, but it's just like, boring. You don't win a talent show with a ballad.
Right. And you don't, not a lot of people start their careers with a ballad. Like, you got to pick it up.
Yeah.
Especially in this time frame of music, right?
Yes,
So
this
you're talking
is
about
the
Beatles
Beatlemania.
era. Yep.
So they come up with a name for the band, the Wonders, spelled O-N-E, Wonders.
Right. Again, trying to capitalize on that Beatles, insert in a musical nomenclature or whatever. They called it something in the trivia. Into a name of a group, right?
Or thing.
Or
Yes.
thing.
Like noun-ish. No, I don't know. But
It's trying to be smarter than me. Is that what you're trying to do?
it's getting too technical. Anyway, so they go to the talent show, and Guy starts counting off, but he's going way faster. So he speeds it up, and it becomes like this awesome dance song, and everybody goes crazy for it, and they end up winning.
Woo!
So that's very
Wicked
exciting.
awesome.
And then they get a pan gig. Pan gig?
A
Pan
what?
gig.
What's that?
Remember, guy's in the car and he's like, I mean, I was in a band, but this one gets a pan gig. Like, I think it's
Those
if
old
that
timey
is what he's saying, and he's probably not because I never hear anything right. That means like you play and you get a gig from that like immediately. So this guy comes up to him and is like, "Hey fellows, like that was great. Like I have a restaurant down the airport called Villa Pianos. Like you gotta play." So they play at this Italian restaurant. They bring all the kids to like dance. The kids go crazy. They make an album. They sell it there, and then this guy comes and buys it one day. And he goes to visit Guy at the store and is like, I'm a manager. I'd like to be your manager. And they accept, even though he lives in a trailer truck.
It's a shady deal. I mean, it's a camper with bass fish all over it. Like, and he's like cooking some gross stew on the stove.
Yeah, that
like,
stew looked gross.
so many red flags, but ends up working out.
Yeah, but he ends up being legit. Surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
Gets some good gigs. They play at this show in Pittsburgh, and it goes very badly. And it's their first taste of, like, bad, just having an off night and people in the crowd turning on you. And then the manager, tells Guy to, like, walk it off. It's going to be fine. You'll play the next one. It'll be fine. And then they go to a Chinese restaurant and meet Tom Hanks. Or...
Mr. White.
Mr. White. What's his first name?
No first name.
Oh.
No, I'm sure he has first name. But.
Yeah, but he's like a big manager deal at Playtone Records, which is like the big record company in this pretend time place. So
like a white Motown.
Yeah. So they had black musicians. And he tells Guy, like, we want to sign you to the Playtone records, blah, 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 make a record, I'll be your manager. So he's like, okay, I'll discuss with the band, but of course accept, because this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's happening so fast. You have to remember, this is literally like their like fourth or fifth show together. I mean, I don't know how many they played at Villa Pianos, but yeah, so it's a big deal.
Right.
So they immediately get signed to Playtone, and they go touring on all the state fairs around the country. And as they're doing this, their song climbs up the charts, Billboard's 100, like steadily up the charts every week. Until one day, Mr. White tells them, we're leaving the fair. Plans have changed. You're going to be like number 5 tomorrow, so we're doing these other things.
Yep.
So they go to make a movie in L.A., a little cameo appearance. And then he tells them they're going to be on the television showcase, which is like the Ed Sullivan show. So that it's like a, what do they call that? Like variety show, yeah,
kind of, but
with
kind of like we have
acts,
yeah, like we have the late night, like Jimmy Kimmel and all that stuff. But that stuff wasn't on like late night then. That was like main time programming.
Right. But it's people can like come and juggle plates, like it's all different kinds of
talents.
Yeah. So now it's just famous people talking, and you're like, cool. No. Just kidding. Bring back the variety show.
Yeah, seriously, they've tried to, and it like has not worked.
Just people are not into that.
Yeah,
the majority of people. So they hop on a plane to LA, and they start this new step of their life where they're like big, legit stars. So they do all these like these star things. They are in this movie. They have to go to Playtone Records and pay homage to Saul Sullenberg or something.
Sully Sullenberg, first of all, is that pilot who crashed in the Hudson when the birds flew into the engine. Also a movie with Tom Hanks called Sully.
I thought you were saying that he played this Sully's.
No.
Okay. Anyways, yeah.
But that actor is somebody else, and I cannot put my finger on it. He's in something.
So they do that, and then they go to their big showcase, but things are kind of starting to unravel. Jimmy's getting like more and more big-headed. He always was, but it's getting worse. The bass player abandons ship and goes to hang out with some Marines
Semper Fi,
because he's enlisting, and so he's gone. So they get a temporary bass player named Wolfman.
Oh yeah, that guy's in The Godfather.
Right, makes sense. And wait, what guy?
No, Sully. Mo Green, is that the guy in the beginning? No, he's one of the gang.
Okay.
Corleone's little buds.
All right. Yeah, so they go to the showcase, and then it's going great, and then they do this little, like, they flash things on the screen, like saying the name of each guy, and then under Jimmy's they have Careful Girls, He's Engaged, which was a play, I guess they did that for the
John
Beatles.
Lennon, yep.
John Lennon?
Yep.
Why? Good looking?
Yes.
I thought Paul was the
Everyone
like
was either
heartbreaker.
Paul or John.
Oh.
Or George too.
Mom
All
was
of
Paul.
them.
Mom
No.
was Paul.
It was poor Ringo was the Chris Kirkpatrick, let's be honest. Wait, Mom was Paul? Oh
Yeah.
Oh
She's
my God, this would be perfect. Ask Carol. Is she awake? She had a rough day, maybe.
she's definitely awake.
Wait, but did you talk about Faye already?
Not yet. I was gonna. I mean, I said that she was Jimmy's girlfriend.
Okay.
Who is calling? Telemarketers calling me at 9 o'clock at night.
That's
Give
so
me a break.
rude.
Anyway, so he's pissed. He accuses Faye of like telling the producers that they're engaged when they're not. He's a psycho. We'll
a
get into this,
psychopath.
but we've
Yeah.
decided that he's a sociopath.
Help. He's a psycho.
So Faye breaks up with Jimmy. Hells to the yes. Good job.
Scene, good scene.
Faye. Everybody's like, you're a dick, Jimmy. And then the next day, Jimmy quits the band basically because he doesn't want to record what Mr. White tells them to record. He wants to do his songs or nothing.
Yep.
Again, such a dick.
Loser.
And so the band's pretty much done. And it's kind of sad. I mean,
Yep.
it was like a couple months, but
2 months. Whole 2 months.
2 months?
2 months.
Shit.
But that's how that stuff happens.
2 months?
Think about the
Come
one-hit
on.
wonder.
Even one-hit wonders are around for like a year.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it gets so long to get discovered usually. I mean, this story
Right.
seems
This
a little
was
bit
like a
rare.
Yeah, this was highly accelerated.
Because that's the sad thing about one-hit wonders. And this movie, like, hints on a little bit at the end. Because, right, they had this, like, basically, like, crazy rise, and then it's just nothing. But I think with one-hit wonders, they've probably been together for a while. They finally break in with this hit, but then
Well,
it goes nowhere.
It depends. A lot of these bands are in the 90s especially were just
Yeah.
like manufactured to produce hits.
Yeah, true,
and I
true.
don't think that they were probably around. I don't think Right Said Fred was like hanging out with the guys for like years. Like, when are we going to make it, you guys?
I don't know if you heard this, but Right Said Fred guy, those guys are British, right? Were they
are?
German?
I don't know.
Anyway, the new like Taylor Swift song sounded a lot like the Right Said Fred song, and he was actually a writer on the song.
On her song? What? Oh my God. Oh yeah. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. I'm too sexy for you.
Yes, remember? People are like,
great.
"Wow, this sounds so similar."
I love it.
I love it, guys. Seriously, one hit wonder.
Yeah, so there's that, and then they go their separate ways, and Guy and Faye kind of find each other, and then have this great smooch scene because they've had like a special connection the whole time. But now that she realizes Jimmy's an idiot, I think she's finally realizes it. And then the movie ends, and it gives you a nice little wrap up of where everybody is. Which I'm sure you were very pleased with that. So
there's no guessing.
good endings for everyone, pretty much. Good times. Sweet little movie.
Sweet little film. So fun. As we said, like that jam, that thing you do, is played, I don't know. How many times would you say? 20?
It's only played all the way through twice.
Yeah.
And the other times they creatively kind of do a cutaway to like something. So like they'll be singing and then it'll go to like the recording in the album in the
when
church
they were
or something
playing
like that.
at like the Ed Sullivan like show, I remember like obviously we just watched it, but there was like the end part where where it's all the music, like the I'm like, whoa, like I don't remember this part because that's the only time we ever hear that like all the way through basically.
Right. Well, second,
Yeah.
First, the talent show they played all the way through,
But it's not like super nice and
right. This
polished
is like
in the talent
and
show.
then you
one.
hear snippets of the rest.
Yeah.
And then you hear a bunch of their other songs
Which are
throughout,
good.
which is nice, and they're also great. And but that song, it's so good.
So they
and
should have been more than one hit wonders, I feel like, because they did have like some
well,
pretty good songs.
I mean, they didn't really get to release any of those other songs, so
Yeah.
they only had to release That Thing You Do. That's the thing. Like all these one-hit wonders have full albums, but they only released one song, or only one song became a hit.
Right.
I was reading a list of one-hit wonders, and I was like, really? They're a one-hit wonder? Because I remember I remember Vanilla Ice's other song, but it wasn't a hit, so it's not, he's classified as a one-hit wonder. Nah, I mean...
That's tricky.
Yeah, so I figured out while I was getting ready for bed yesterday how to sing That Thing You Do the best.
Okay.
Best way that you can sing it is
Sure.
you have to like super enunciate the words. Like Jimmy, you have to pretend you have a giant mouth, and you have to be like, you doing that thing you do. Try it. Breaking my heart
into a million pieces.
There you go.
Like you always do.
We have to get a video. It's like our mouths are open so wide, but our eyes are like, it's great. But yeah, so that's how you do it. So yeah, so what should we do first? Sing the songs, talk about Jimmy, talk about
Let's
the
sing the
characters.
songs. I know you're really itching to, since
All right.
I had my run of the mic on Annie. So this is your time to shine.
Okay, so yeah, so that thing you do, great. Obviously, the best song ever. Still a good song. I still love it every time I hear it.
Well, it's so toe tapping. There, I mean,
I just-
unless you're a cold-hearted serial killer, there's then
Jimmy.
That's why you're not tapping your feet to this song. I just
I
want to
just
tell you,
love-
you should be worried.
I just love the guy's voice too.
Yeah,
The
me
guy has
too.
such a cool voice. I
know,
love
he
it.
really does.
It's not Jimmy. It's for real. It's this other guy.
Yeah, I forgot that is.
I've looked him up before.
He's a nobody.
Kind of. Yeah, I guess.
Kind of.
Okay, and so their other songs are, let's see, the one they play next, I believe, is All My Only Dreams. So, ding, 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 ding. And when I close my eyes, you'll be right by my side. Good one. Next is My Little Wild One. I love that. That's a good one. That's my second favorite other one. Where the part when he's like, with them, I feel like I'm wasting my time, but you make me feel like I'm losing my mind. I was like, wait, that's
Mike
wrong.
Viola is
Okay.
the singer.
Interesting.
Familiar?
And then my favorite non-That Thing You Do song is Lenny's Showcase called Dance With Me Tonight. Come on, we'll be rocking till dawn. Come on, come on. No. Come on, come on. Let me sweep you off your feet. Come on, pretty baby, won't you dance with me? Dance with me. Dance with me. Oh, tell your mama that we're leaving. Tell your daddy that we're gone. Tell everyone and fill your down. There's a party going on. Oh, God, I love it. It's a good song. It's real snappy. But yeah, Lenny
snap.
sings and you're like, ooh, because there's
Yeah.
always those songs like these bands that always have like one or two people singing primarily. And then this other person sings that you don't get to hear sing very often. And you're like, whoa, you have a good voice.
Though in like this sense, it's like the Beatles really like had three guys singing, and then it was really just like Ringo kind of like not. But if we're talking like in sync, they really had like two guys who
Right.
always sang, right?
And then there was that one time Joey sings
Yeah.
a song in an a cappella song.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like, and the
heart
Beatles, like Ringo sang
Words
like a
left
couple.
unspoken. Now that we're through.
Okay, stop. If anyone's an NSYNC fan, let's remember the "I Drive Myself
I tell
Crazy,"
my soul- Oh my
where
God.
Chris Kirkpatrick had his moment, and it was so
Lying
high.
in your arms, so close together. Didn't know just what I had. Ugh, that's bad.
Now I toss and turn.
It's better than Lance, who only got ever to sing one line of a song.
Girl, were you alone? He's the bass.
That is Lance Bass, the bass.
So good.
That's
a good song. Good
those
jam.
are the songs, but then there's also these other songs in the movie that other people sing. So, and they're all fake bands, which is very mind blowing.
I felt they were real.
Right.
They felt real,
and
very
I
real to
didn't
me.
realize that until I was older.
To this, like literally a minute before this movie started, I was like, wait. So remind me again, like Del Paxton is a real person, right? I was like, no. We went over
Why would
this.
he be a real person?
you dropped like some other time
Did you
very
think that, like,
recently
that-
that I talked about.
No, I
this.
talked about it when we were talking about that thing you do. I was like, remember, Del Paxton's not real.
Clearly in one ear, out the other.
But what did you think? That like that guy, that actor was Del Paxton?
No, that Del Paxton was like a real blues musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the the thing about this is that they talk about all these other real people
Right.
occasionally, but
That's
they
why it's
never,
confusing.
but they're not main characters.
Right.
Because they can't use like the Beatles songs.
Right.
They'd have to pay like a fortune $1 billion to Michael Jackson to like have one snippet of a song.
Well, that's just interesting when they do that. When they put like, obviously they're trying to inhabit this like musical world. So to give it cred, and it's not like a completely fake universe, you put in like the real people to give it like like context. But that this is like an alternate 1964 where there's like a band called The Wonders and like a Mr. What's that guy's name? Oh my God, he's like the same name club, the Mr. Downtown guy.
Freddie Fredrickson.
Freddie Fredrickson. Same name club.
Yeah. So mostly at the state fairs, we get to hear all these other like fake bands. So we've got the Chantrellines, which is like who are like the Supremes, basically.
Or the Crystals.
3 black women.
The
Yeah.
Chanterelles. There's so many groups like that.
Wait, who is this? Chanterelles?
The Chanterelles is a real
Oh,
band.
shit. That's a little on the nose there, Tommy Hanks. But yeah, their song's like, I want you to know when you hold my hand, you hold my heart. Do-do-do-do. It's a good one. Freddie Fredrickson, darkness falls and the night's begun.
So he's like a
the
Dean
river
Martin,
of life
Frank
runs
Sinatra
as
guy.
right as
like
the
they all like
sun.
mimic real life people though, sort of.
There's danger to be found. Boom, boom.
And then they have like the like diva
Diane Dane.
Dane,
She's
the
like this blonde woman who
blonde
wears like
diva.
amazing gowns, and that was a good song. Any girl that goes through a breakup, play this song loudly. I didn't at the time, but I pretended that I did, and was like,
How's it go?
And was like, my crush doesn't like me. Your world goes on, but for me, my world is over. I don't know where I'm gonna go now, but I've got to move on somehow. Whoa.
What's the name of that one?
My world is over.
Oh, sad.
Dramatic, Diane Dane. But those are the main ones. And the other ones are kind of more backgroundy music. But yeah, those are the songs. Those are the songs. I like them.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's cool that they were able to do all original stuff too. That it wasn't like they used any real songs from the time. Like I said, like all sort of this like faux universe of like this time period. So awesome. Good job, Tom Hanks. Like totally original shit. And I love that.
So original.
Super creative.
So
but
original.
obviously using like so much inspiration from what like the actual music. So cool again.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about the characters.
Sure.
We didn't talk about who's in it, but
Oh my
aside from Tom Hanks.
Okay. So first is Tom. Is it Tom? Yeah, he goes by Tom. Tom Everett Scott, who is a cutie patootie. So he's like kind of a little bit of a goober. So like that is like sort of like what really wins him over, I think, for me, because he's tall, he's very tall and like cute and like a little geeky in like the geeky music guy sense, right? Mm-hmm. But also has like a pretty silly personality. He's doing like weird voices all the time. He's just like he's like a little bit of a nutter, let's say, in a really cute way. He's adorable. I had a huge crush on him after this movie came out. He's exactly my type. Nice head of hair, tall, plays the drums. I mean, is there anything better than that? And he's nice. He's the sweetest little boyfriend you could possibly want.
Yeah.
Opposed to Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy. Yeah, so Jimmy's supposed to be like the stud, like the main person in the group.
He's
who's
supposed to
like
be the Justin
hot.
Timberlake.
Yeah.
And he's fucking not.
But he's so egotistical, obsessed with himself, obsessed with his songs. Yes, they're good songs. Yes, he has a cool voice. But he's such a dick about it, and it just really makes him into an ugly person.
He's the wettest wet blanket in the entire world.
He wears this like fucking weird mock turtleneck with buttons on the neck at some point, and it just really makes me nauseous. But I mean, he's just we decided by the end that he's definitely a sociopath.
He's a sociopath.
He has a smile. Sometimes he'll do this really wide, scary smile. And the actor, what's the actor's name?
Jonathan, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Shiach or something. It's like too many CHs.
Must be that.
He was married to Christina Applegate for a long time.
God, and he's in The Sweetest Thing.
Yeah.
Weird.
They got divorced.
He's the weird guy at the bar.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what's up with you?
Gross.
Nothing.
No,
What's
he's
up with
always
you?
playing a douchebag. But let's be real. His smile is the Joker. if he smiles, like it is exact face that like gets like Jack Nicholson's like face gets made into plastic surgery in Batman.
Wow.
A
He
rich.
just has a giant mouth, and it's very horse-like, which
Good
is
for singing.
funny because he dates in the movie Faye, who's played by Liv Tyler,
Who also has a big
also
mouth.
has a giant mouth.
But also, wait, go back to Jimmy for like a hot sec. His hair bugs the shit out of me.
It's
like,
so
what is that?
Mop-
What is that helmet
mop
thing?
top. Oh, helmet hair? No.
I don't know.
Bowl cut?
I just can't. I
think it's a bowl cut, but it's very shiny. And like, yeah, it's a good head of hair, but like, it's not my style.
He's just, he's always like, when are we going to record music? Like, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? And like, basically, I don't know why he wants Faye around. She's like obsessed with him and thinks he's the greatest thing.
doesn't
and is
want her
constantly defending him, and he couldn't give two shits about her, and she never sees it, which is really sad. Everyone else does. And that's kind of painful to watch during like most of the film. But he is right. So he's like, yes, he was like good at writing songs and like I guess had an okay voice, but just a shitty person. So it didn't matter.
Right. It's upsetting. But yeah, he totally sucks. And then Lenny is the other guitar player. He was always my favorite character.
Comic relief.
When I was little. Yep. Total comic relief. Hilarious lines. Played by Steve Zahn.
So cute.
And he's amazing in this. And
Oh my God,
I'm
he's
sad
so
about it because
funny.
I don't feel like he had another role quite that really elevated him. Like, he didn't pick the right roles or something after this movie, but I feel like he could have gone really far.
Yeah.
He was good. He was in You've Got Mail.
Oh my god, I love that
he
character.
worked in Meg Ryan's bookstore, and he was hilarious.
He's so good in that.
But it was such a small part, and
Yeah.
other than that, I can't think of really like anything that he gets to shine in. I looked at his IMDb, and I was like, nothing. So,
Steve.
damn it, Steve. I mean, you still can. He can still do it.
Yeah.
I have faith in him. I just think he's so funny in this. His comedic timing is amazing. All my favorite lines are his lines. He's just great.
I mean, he's in the new Planet of the Apes movie.
He
He was in Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh,
Sahara. I mean, he's done like kind of big stuff.
not as like comedy gold mine. I don't know. I think he could have done better. I think he could have done more.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Although, now that I think about it, Tom Everett Scott didn't really do anything after this either.
Right.
He was pretty big in the 90s. He was in Dead Man on Campus with Paul
the other one I was
Gosselaar,
thinking of.
where they like decide that if your roommate dies in college, you automatically get an A. So they were trying to like get that guy's roommate to commit suicide.
If you've not seen that movie, that is an incredibly underrated film. That movie is hilarious.
It's really inappropriate.
It's so
would not be able to be
funny,
made
though.
now.
It is so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then we've got Ethan Embry as the bass player. Adorable as
He was
usual.
like, and I'm always like, well, okay, I know he's the main guy in Can't Hardly Wait. That was like his big 90 film. But like I always like confuse him with like Breckin Meyer and like a couple other people who were like, because Breckin Meyer was in like Road Trip. Yeah. Road Trip. And then Can't Hardly Wait was Ethan Embry, and then there was like another one.
Breckenmeyer was in Can't Hardly Wait. Also,
Right.
He was that
But like
band.
I feel like each one those guys who were like all in big in 90s
Yeah.
films like took turns being
Giovanni
like, the lead.
Ribisi.
Exactly. Took lead roles in all those 90
Yeah.
films. So you're like, wait, which one is that? So they all like kind of blend together.
Ethan
for me.
Embry always reminds me. I mean,
But he's
Empire
adorable.
Records.
Yes. Oh my
and this movie. So, and he's in Empire Records with Liv Tyler
Yes.
also. So you're like, whoa.
But yeah, he's a
he's
cutie
great in
patoots.
this. I was gonna.
Wasn't he in something recently where we were like, whoa,
He's in
Ethan
Grace
Embry.
and Frankie now, and I didn't recognize him the first time he was on camera, but yeah, he's awesome. I love him, hilarious, and Vegas Vacation, hello, wins all the
Yes.
cards, Mr. Papa Giorgio, who can forget? I love his character because, and I want to talk about this a little later, but like they all have such specific characters, and I don't know if you noticed this, but so he's supposed to be like a military guy, like in the Marines, so he's super like straight laced and like proper, and all his clothes are like perfectly pressed. And it's that very like meticulous thing. So that scene where they hear their song on the radio for the first time, they're so excited. He bursts through the doors with Faye. He like does this weird trip. But then he goes, and in this moment of total excitement, he takes the time to wipe his shoes on the mat in the door. And it's like such a perfect little character like nugget that I never noticed before. But I was like, dang, that really fits. Like he had it down.
Yeah.
But he's great. And then finally, Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler. Yep. Yeah, she's great in this. Like, sometimes I find her acting like a little bit sleepy, and it doesn't work. Which I would agree that half of it doesn't work, but there's some scenes that it really does work, and she is like, especially that one scene where she breaks up with him, where I think is like so perfect and beautifully acted, and I'm like, oh my god, you're amazing. So I'm like really like up and down with her, depending on the role and the scene. Really, I think, but I still love you, Lil.
She's done a lot of good
Liv,
stuff
Lil.
recently. Recently,
Right,
she was in the
Leftovers.
Leftovers. She's amazing in that.
Yeah.
And so I mean,
Right.
I
think it's the role.
it's like Kirsten Dunst. Like I didn't love them when I was little, but now that they've matured and have like gotten these other
She's
roles,
just a little like not like whiny, because that's like not the thing. But I think that was the direction that was given to her to play. I'm not saying that's even like how she acts all the time.
she's quiet. She's like a
Quiet.
subdued,
Yeah, just like
kind of character.
Okay, Jimmy, you know, like she's kind of like that.
She's very like breathy or something.
Yeah, but I don't know if like that was the direction or like how they wanted her to be this like sort of understated girlfriend who was in the wings all the time with like no attention being played to her, which I think was the whole point of her character, that she didn't, you know, to the point that she didn't want to be noticed, that like her boyfriend kind of forgot about her, mostly because he was a psychopath, but also because she didn't want to play that role like for him.
Maybe.
But yeah, but I still love her, and she's got some really good scenes in this. And she looks so cute and like totally fits like the adorable like stylings
I
of the
love
60s.
her makeup in this show with like that perfect cat eye.
And the like nice little nude lip.
Nude
that
lips.
looks, and her lips are so big, so like a nude lip on her looks like
Amazing.
dynamite.
She's great. She's great.
Yeah, really, really good.
Love
And
it.
then a lot of like little cameos, because this is a Tom Hanks movie, so we got buds to come and like be in the movie, which is, I feel like that's a great perk of being like someone as cool as Tom Hanks. You're like, hey, I'm making this movie, come act in it. But all of his friends are like really established,
And maybe they don't have
actors.
to pay them as much because it's like
Yeah.
a favor to Tom or something.
Right.
It's probably a
So,
budget. It was
his wife,
saving money.
Rita Wilson, his buddies from Bosom Buddies, the show, Peter Scolari, random like Jonathan Demme is like a director cameo. Who else? Chris Isaac cameo again. Charlize Theron has a sweet little bit part.
It's like an early
early role for her.
Charlize role.
Yeah,
Very
but
cool.
she's great.
She's Tina. She plays Guy's girlfriend in the beginning. It's kind of it's like sometimes, you know, late at night I'm sitting up in bed. I'm like, who is the worst boyfriend or girlfriend? Tina or Jimmy? It's like, I don't know. It's hard to say. But she's a terrible
Jimmy.
person. I know.
She's not that bad. She just was not interested. They had nothing in common.
I know. I don't know why they got
how
together.
met, why they were
It
together.
was like in the
Right.
in the, you know, in that time you just dated somebody. You
The
weren't.
dentist was perfect for her.
Yes,
It was like that was
she
meant
was
to be.
very self-absorbed.
Yes.
See, but just like Jimmy, so I feel like her and Jimmy probably could have had a nice thing.
No, Jimmy deserves to be with
And-
nobody. He is the worst.
He's probably not. He's like got
he
the
got
herdsman.
gonorrhea
They don't say
and died.
anything about him being married at the end. So
Yeah,
I bet
'cause
he was
he
just
probably isn't.
married to his music.
because he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Cool. So let's see. So that's the main peeps. Bryan Cranston, very small cameo as
Paul Feig.
Gus Grissom. Paul Feig.
What's
What's that guy's name?
Ron Howard's brother, Clint Howard.
What's the guy?
DJ?
Vicksburg's in the Pittsburgh's guy's name?
Kevin Pollak.
Kevin Pollak. Wow.
Yeah.
He's
Who
in
was
that
just in something
terrible
else, too.
movie. Remember that movie, House Arrest?
Yeah.
Where they're like, I don't want my parents to get divorced. Let's lock them in the basement.
Yes. You brought that up another time, and I'm like, I can't believe that has a plot for the movie.
No, in a blog I
like
wrote
fucked up
about
Parent
a
Trap.
horror movie where like at a certain point it gets to a point where you're like, okay, now like there's no way out of this. Like you've gone so far. Like I think by the time they put like a gate up and they bring all the other parents there, it's just like really bad. Yeah. So yeah, good times.
Yeah, just a lot of randos, and you're like, whoa, it's that guy. Ooh, it's that woman. Oh, it's that person. So really fun to watch, because in the 90s, well, they were like pretty big names, but now like
90s.
they were just teeny tykes. But now they're kind of a little bit more established people, so you're like, whoa, like look at that. So very cool. Awesome, Tom Hanks. Good for you. I read that Tom Hanks wrote this movie.
Yeah,
He was doing a press junkets for Forrest Gump and was traveling like all around, and he had like all this downtime, and he's like, oh, I'm fucking bored. Let me write a movie. Can you believe that guy?
What a nut.
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Loves typewriters.
Probably typed it out.
Writes a good
No,
movie.
he didn't bring his antique typewriter to
Loves
film Forrest
typewriters.
Gump to collect.
Oh my god! You know he has an app on the iPhone where if you type on your iPhone, it can sound like an old typewriter.
Because I
The
love
guy
that
is
sound. Yeah, good times. That Tommy.
Tommy.
So let's talk about favorite parts.
Okay. You go.
Okay. So the iconic part in this movie that everyone talks about and everybody brings up and plays like a clip of when you're talking about like notable
gonna play
movies
a
from the
clip of it?
90s. Let's play a clip. Is when they hear their song on the radio for the first time. It's such a special little moment. So they're all listening to like different radio stations. They're all apart. And then Faye's putting stamps on an envelopes, which sidebar, remember licking stamps? Ugh. And this post office would have like a little wet sponge that you like, and you'd like put the stamp on and then put it on the envelope.
BW, do you know that there can be like gluten in stamps and envelopes?
Oh my god,
Adhesive.
that's probably why we have all these problems.
I know.
Because we had to lick stamps. Ugh.
Are there no more licky stamps ever at all now? You just can't get them?
I mean, I just bought some stamps. Disney villains, no big deal.
Awesome.
And she was
What
like,
are you
well,
mailing?
What are you mailing? Mom's making me write a thank you card to some lady that donated to Desmond. Because I'm a bad person. But yeah, so, and I have to mail my rent checks. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so they hear so Faye hears the song and she freaks out and she like yells, and then she's running down the street, bumps into the bass player. He's excited. He turns his radio, a little handheld radio, to the station. They run to Patterson's, open the door. They're like, "Guy, we're on the radio!" And they get all the radios in the store to play the song. And I always get such chills in this scene. It's just so fun because they're all so excited and you're excited.
Let's imagine what that would be like to hear your voice, your song, the song that you've played 100 million times, that you know to death. But it's like you make it on the radio.
Yeah. It's such an important
That
part.
was insane. You know what I was thinking the other day? Like, okay, it was like an Adele song on the radio, right? Obviously, like Adele is like a really big star, and like that's small potatoes to her at this point. But just like imagine that you are someone like that and your voice is in like how many playing in how many radios at the same time or all over the world at one time.
I know.
Your voice like is such a individual single thing, right? It's like only you sound like that, especially if you're someone like Adele. What the hell must that feel like? And obviously it must like wear off for you. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's still super
it depends on the
exciting.
person. But I remember all those like behind VH1s behind the music. I think that each person would always talk about like the first time they heard themselves on the radio. And it's just such a pivotal moment in a musician's life. And I think that's why Tom Hanks chose to include this scene, because it's just so important and it's such a great scene. They're all like dancing, and guy's dad is still like super clueless and is like, why are we dancing? Like, put that thing down. This is a fancy store. But his mom's very excited, and it's just such a sweet moment.
And especially now, I mean, now that we have other form like music videos or whatever, even though those are pretty much gone at this point. But I feel like radio like still kind of persists as something that is like a big deal. You know what I mean?
now it's all about, I mean, you hear a song. I mean, when's the last time you heard a song for the first time on the radio? I'm sure we do, because we don't listen to songs.
I don't know. Now that I take a lot of lifts, I feel like they're always playing the radio, and that's the only like my radio experience now. And I'm always like, I'm like, what's this song? Because like I never listen to the radio. Like I got to find music myself.
I was in a lift this one time, and this guy was like, he's like, do you mind if I play this? It's raining, so I feel like we have to put on like romantic songs. And he's like, here's a YouTube playlist. They have songs. And I was like, oh, cool. So it starts playing, and they're all like rip-offs of like famous romantic songs. I was like, what? It's like this weird version of My Heart Will Go On. And I was like, what? And it was a YouTube.
Well, that's
creepy. It's very weird.
Did you give him 3 stars?
No, I gave him 5. He was hilarious. I loved him. He was great. But yeah, so what was he talking about? Oh yeah, so that's my favorite scene, hands down.
Yeah,
for sure.
Real good. Favorite scene. I mean, I like all the performing ones a lot. I think they do like a really cool thing where they change all of them up a little bit. So even though it's the same song basically, and they do a couple of their other songs like you said, but basically it's that same song. So like they either have different sets, or they're in different costumes, or it's a different piece of the song, or like something like that. So that's really cool. I love when it's the big full version of the song at the end, where it's sort of like the pinnacle. So they have like the best suits. They're very Beatle-esque with like all black suits on. and they have like kind of very similar set pieces that like the Beatles had. They have their name in the back, the Wonders. Then that's like super exciting and really fun. I love the Faye makeover scene. I'm a sucker for a good not that she needs a makeover. That's not what it is.
It's really just getting
It's
dolled
just getting
up
dressed
scene.
up scene. Oh my god, sucker for those. They put her in this most beautiful, like, what is that, like a white gray
Silver? I thought it was like a silver satin.
Silver satin, but like with this amazing red on the inside,
like
and it's
the
like kind
train,
of
like a
yeah,
half
this
train?
beautiful train in the back, and she has these gloves.
But it's short.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And she puts her hair in a sort of like modest beehive, which I totally copied when I was a bridesmaid in a wedding one time. Very similar like look I had. I was obsessed with it. She looks so gorgeous, and her makeup is like on point in that. And she's like, just it's so excited that the boys are going to be on, and then unfortunately, that's when she breaks up with Jimmy. Though
know.
fortunately,
You're
because
like,
he is
oh,
a
she got so pretty. And it's like going to prom.
but it's
and
a
breaking
really
up.
beautiful scene, and that like little speech she gives him is like, I'm like, whoa, who wrote that? That was like poetry. I was like, whoa.
Maybe it was improv. Just kidding. Tom Hanks wrote it. Duh.
Yeah. But yeah. So even that scene's like kind of sad, really good. And then like what else?
I also love the Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack shooter scene. Great comedy there. They have to play this. They're pretending to be this band in this like Rick and Anita movie, which is supposed to be like
Frankie
and Annette, like a beach party movie. And they're these guys wearing like these little sailor outfits and capri pants. I don't know. I love it.
I love
But-
how the bass player's hat is like
Yeah.
the pulled
He, like,
down
pulls it
version,
down.
which is really like a fisherman.
Well, I think he pulled it down, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because it's just like
It's, like,
folded
pulled
up.
up.
So then he pulled it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. It's another good little
just these
quirk
little
about his
little
character.
details.
But I love that scene. I think it's hilarious. I think the name Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters is amazing. We should use it for trivia next time.
Perfect. Remember that. We
And
always
then,
forget these.
as a callback to that scene in the Ron Howard's brother scene, he's a DJ, Clint, and he's like, "What are your influences? Which artist popped your cherry?" Which is like, what does that mean? Like, what artist I heard for the first time that made me realize I liked music? I guess it's an awkward thing, but they go around and they say people, and then Lenny's like, "Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters," and Tom Hanks is like, "Come on, quit messing around."
Yeah.
It's classic. I love it. Yeah, so that's another good scene.
Yeah,
What
it's a
else?
really nice progression of this movie. How they go from like little small town Pennsylvania, being these like kind of like little ragtag kids, to really like even like physically moving across the country bit by bit. Whether it's like first on that like country fair world tour, and then circuit, and then moving like all the way to LA.
And how it like coincides with them rising up in the
Yep.
charts is very well done, and just the little things
and it's
that
quick. It's not like
Yeah.
long. This movie went by so fast, and I was like, oh my god, we're already at this scene.
which I think I feel like was on purpose because it's like meant to symbolize like how fast fame can just be gone. And I think that I love the little moments that Tom Hanks like chooses to highlight in this movie about being a musician and being in a band, especially that has kind of like a heyday 1 minute and then the next is gone.
Right.
And so obviously boy bands in the 90s, when this came out, it made sense that this came out when it did, because we were in the middle of something that was insane like this, where girls were just going nuts. Except boy bands for the most part weren't actual real musicians.
Right.
They didn't play instruments.
Right. Like that was such the resurgence then. So you had this like, where it was like Beatles, Rolling Stones or whatever was in like the 60s, and you had women passing out in the aisles and like all that stuff. And then it was a cooling off period, because then you have, it's not that people weren't into music, but it was just like a different kind of craziness that people were into. And then early 90s, you really had grunge, which was like, and really more like hard rock. So it was like people into that again, but not that same sort of like gaga goo goo crazy over just boys.
Radio Gaga? Oh.
And then the fucking boy bands came out, and like we were the exact age to be crazy about that stuff. And I've like am so, this is gonna make me sound probably horrible, but like I'm so glad that we were in that moment. Right? Like that was the second resurgence of that stuff, and it was still to this day like the highlight of my life, my following of those bands.
Yep.
I've never had more fun.
It was so fun. I literally thought that I was going to marry JC from
We all
NSYNC. and that would be it.
We all did, but we
he
weren't
would
like
see me at the concert,
but we
and be
weren't
like,
jealous about
her.
it. Yeah. Oh,
Even though you're
all
like,
the time.
ew, pedophile.
Yeah.
But it was just amazing. But so these little things that Tom Hanks chooses to put in, like hearing your song on the radio for the first time. The other one I love is when they're at the state fair and they get all, Lenny and Guy get so starstruck by all these people. They're like, and you're Freddie Fredrickson, and they like get all crazy fan. And a lot of musicians or even actors like will tell you stories of this. Like they still get starstruck. They'll like, you could be Glenn Close, or I mean Glenn Close. That's not who I meant.
She's pretty cool though.
That was really weird. I meant to say Meryl Streep and still be like, oh my God, even though I'm sure she's worked with everybody at this point, but maybe a younger actor that like she hasn't.
Yeah.
Still is like, oh my God, like Chris Hemsworth.
There's still people
Amazing.
like anyone who's in the movies or musicians that you haven't met. You're right. Like Meryl Streep hasn't met everybody in the world. It might
Probably
be a
has.
really big fan of them or like whatever. Yeah. So cool. Right. So I think he does like a really good job of that. And that's awesome. I don't want to abandon the boy band conversation too yet.
Okay.
Because it's still,
Well,
I still wanna
that
talk about it.
scene at the end where the girls are like crying, they're like,
Yeah.
like screaming so loud, and then there's a couple shots of like older men in the crowd, so confused, and it's like so classic.
And
It's
like I gotta
everybody's
say,
dead.
like,
right
you
there.
don't understand it unless you are attracted to men, let's say, and are of a certain age. Like, I'm certainly not like that now. I don't think I'm like men. Still love you, but you know, it's a hard year. It's a hard year. But when I was 16, I was obsessed, as was Andre, twinsies, with JC Chazé from NSYNC.
Tell them what your AOL screen name
My
was.
AOL screen name was JC's Girl 1976.
The year of his birth.
The year of his birth. I also thought we were going to get married. Luckily for me, I had a very wealthy friend in high school who went to every NSYNC concert and was able to bring a friend. So I got to go along free of charge. And we were front row at every concert.
Second row.
Second row, but that's basically first row. And, you know, it was those things where we'd get like a really great outfit. I would have visions, daydreams, and real dreams about JC Chazé singing up on stage and being like, that girl is beautiful, like whispering to the security, like, bring her backstage. And then we'd like meet and hang out, and then we'd like date, but he'd be like traveling the country, but I'd be like, JC's my boyfriend. I mean, it was like, I thought it was going to happen. I was convinced. And my first concert I went to, ironically, they did this like, so this is when they were like pretty brand new. They had just their first album out, which was like No Strings Attached.
No.
No Strings Attached.
Self-named.
Tear Up My Heart.
Self-titled.
It's tearing up my
not-
heart.
yeah, but the
when
album
I'm
was just called
with
NSYNC.
you. And I Want You Back. I Want You Back? Yeah.
Baby,
Baby, I
I
don't
remember.
understand just why we can't be lovers. Yeah. So that was like their first album, and then they started really growing. Like, but it was still at the Garden, which is like kind of the biggest place to play in Boston.
No, they were a big deal. It's not like they were like no name. They
No.
blew
but
up
still-
immediately.
But it was their first album, yeah. Though they were like big in Europe or like whatever. Anyway, so I was second row, and they did this like little medley of songs like through the ages. So they did That Thing You Do was their like 60s one, and they came out in their little red suits and did this song. And like JC looked right at me singing this song, and I nearly died. I've never felt that feeling like ever since then, of just like being like, oh my God, like I love this person so much, even though I don't know them, and I'm obsessed. Just, it's an obsession. It's not that you know them. It's not, you know, anything about them. You think you do, but it's just this obsession and this intense like, because you like their music and because you like what they look like and like and how they present themselves, and that whole sort of like mob hysteria of the boy band thing, which like I'm saying, like if you don't like boys, whether you're a man or a woman, but if like I don't know if it's the same for girl groups. I don't think it is, like for guys or if you like women and you're a woman. If it's the same, I just don't think it is. I don't know what it is about like just like chasing after these like cute boys. I don't know.
I don't know. But it also could be like a musician thing. Like musicians, I mean, there's a reason why musicians and rock stars get tons of women or men probably, but maybe not as much. I don't know. But because when you see somebody singing on stage, it's just very attractive. They don't have to be super attractive either.
Right.
If they have
Look
a good
at the
voice,
hair bands.
if they have a good voice and they can play the guitar, you're obsessed.
Okay. So remember I just said there was like a gap between like, okay, you had like all these bands like the Beatles or whatever, and people were like, passing out in the aisles and stuff. But then you had the hair bands of the 80s, which was like rock of love style, that like groupies and women like just tearing off their clothes and being like you said, like those guys were not that attractive. Let's be real, like ick. And that style was whatever it was in the 80s. But yeah, something about a hot, sweaty rocker like on stage is just pants dropping. It's kind of an amazing phenomenon if you think about it.
But is also like probably why we're in like so much trouble now with sexual harassment and rape and stuff. It's awful because guys think they can just get whatever they want and they have that power. Ugh, but that's a different conversation. Anyways, so yeah, good times. So I wanted to talk. Well, I have a couple questions. Sure. If you could come up with any band name, what would it be? What would your band be called?
The Sweeties.
Okay.
Does it have to have like a musical connotation to it?
Like Jimmy's? No.
Yeah.
No.
The Herdsmen.
Anything.
The Chord.
No, just like what would you name your band? It's always the thing. People are like, good band name. What would you call your band?
I mean, this is like a surprise. I need like time to think about this. Do you have one ready?
Yes.
Oh shit.
So I thought of this band name in 7th grade, and we had a project in art class to make like a fake album cover art in like CD. So I thought of it immediately, or maybe I knew it before. But so my band is called Lint Factor Zero, and it's amazing. I don't know what it means. I just thought of it one day and was like, that's my band. So I made this little CD with the songs on it. The first album is called Waiting Room. It's good times. But yeah, so.
What was Waiting Room about?
I don't know. I spent a lot of time in waiting. No, it's a rock band. It's about like other things.
I had that same project in 8th grade. I'm remembering this now. And remember my friend Sarah and I had that like, our little like mascot was this thing we called Stickles.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We were obsessed with it. We made like this like thing in art class. It was like this ugly face with like all this like ratty hair, and we like gave it a name, and I named it like Stickles, and we thought that was like the funniest thing. So then we had like the little sidekick named Stubbles after, I think it was my hairy legs, and we were like, oh, you have like stubbles on your leg. So my CD was called Stickles and Stubbles. And we had like some of our songs were like, I remember one of the songs was Shopping Cart Car, because we used to play MASH all the time.
Yeah.
And in MASH, you know, like you put like for your like dream cars or whatever, and you'd be like BMW, Mercedes, whatever, and then you have to put like a really bad car. So we made up a shopping cart car. Which is like funny.
Cracks me
Man,
up.
we were very clever like 8th graders.
Yeah.
It's really started then, the foundation. But yeah, other than that, man, what's a good band name? I do say that a lot because there's like a lot of good ones.
It's always a joke. Like you say something weird and you're like, also my band's name.
Yeah.
So think about it. Maybe it will come back to you.
Okay.
Here are a couple of random things I like to talk about. There's this one scene where guy's eating this cheeseburger and it's in the paper, and the way he's eating, I don't know, it just seems like a really good burger. It always makes me want a burger. He washes it down with a sip of like 7-Up in the glass bottle. I just like love that. And I love when burger places like keep it in the paper like that. It's great. I love it.
Reminds me of Tasty Burger.
Yes,
like delicious
they do that.
Orange cheese on the burger. Oh, it's my favorite.
It's classic.
It's like so greasy and delicious.
Quick shout out to the saddest character in the movie, Guy's sister named Darlene. She's treated very unfairly. She doesn't get paid. She's like always doing terrible work in the store, sweeping the floor. And then Guy leaves and his dad's like, Darlene, that means you're promoted. And she's like, what? Does that mean you're going to start paying me? This is her only line in the whole movie. And he's like, no, I didn't say that. And he like walks away. Like, what the fuck?
That dad sucks.
Yeah.
He's like really the worst.
But she's
He's
so
like
sad.
everyone's really tragic Republican dad, and you're just like, oh my God, get out of the, like there's this part where he's like reading the newspaper and he's like, this competitor is open on Sundays.
well, Marge, I don't want to live in a world where there's stores open on Sundays.
What is this?
Amish country?
Like old geezer. He's like 80 years old.
It's an
He's
old
like,
geezer.
I'm gonna die.
That's how I hear his voice, because he's fucking tragic. It's just that like fucking parent stuck behind the times. Everyone was moving forward with like civil rights and rock and roll, and this one guy's like, no work on Sundays, got to go and to church all day.
Shoe polishing kit. Oh, we need a kit to polish our shoes now. Yeah, he's great.
Dude,
My
take
favorite.
the convenience. He works at an appliance store. Like, he's literally peddling convenience. He's got to get with the times.
He will.
So I
obviously.
love that. I love some of the appliance store scenes, especially the one where, because Guy is a salesman there. So he's always has a half-ass salesman. He doesn't care. He'd rather be playing the drums, right? He's like, this refrigerator comes in like these colors. And one of the colors was avocado. And I think that was amazing that there was a color of like avocado that like appliances, like that green color.
Right. I was going to say, remember in Griswold in the Vacation, they like the station wagon they're supposed to get is supposed to be like Arctic blue or something, but they end up getting like atomic pea or something. Oh man, it's so good. But yeah, that's that classic like 60s color where like all the appliances were avocado colored. My favorite line that the dad says that I like to use in everyday life, we can transition to this segment, is when there's this thing where Guy's always leaving the sign on. So he's always like, let it burn all night long. He like pulls up to the store to like shut off the light because Guy forgot again. So whenever I'm on the bus late at night and all the stores are closed, so many stores leave their lights on, not just their signs, but like the interior. There's like interior lights that are on still. And I always like drive by on the bus and I'm like, let it burn all night long.
That's great.
It's great. Yeah. And then the line that we use the most is,
okay, this is my favorite one all the time. Like, I mean, I can't say there's not like enough times in my life where I could use this. I wish I could, because it's the best. And it shows to Jimmy it is like most psychopathic, which is pretty great. So they go in the recording studio, and I didn't notice it until this time, but he keeps calling him White. He doesn't call him Mr. White. He goes, White. You lied to me, White. Like, he's so
the worst.
Bleh. So he's like, you lied to me. Like, you like, and he's like, well, Jimmy, like, you're you're not complying with your contract.
Read your contract.
Yeah. Like, according to this, like, you got to play whatever we want you to play. So you have to record that thing you do in Spanish. You have to do this, this, and this. And Jimmy, like, wants to write new music and record new stuff, which is, like, great and, like, but really not on a label's time once they've, like, signed you. You really have to, like, you're their slave, especially if you've only have one song, right? Mm-hmm. So Mr. White's like, well, Jimmy, like, I need something peppy. I need something great, this and that. And Jimmy's kind of like, you want something peppy? Huh? So he goes to the microphone like he's going to, like, start singing and, like, doing what he's told. He's like, how about something like this? I quit. I quit. I quit. I quit, Mr. White. And he does this, like, the most fake, scary, psychopathic, like, singing and smiles during this song. It is so great. So, I don't know. Whenever, like, we want to quit something,
we just sing
like,
that song.
Quit. Not our jobs. Or
just like,
that,
I quit,
just like
trying
quit,
to
whatever.
wash these dishes or something. Or
I quit.
Yeah.
And we'll do the whole thing.
Yeah. Even though, like, I quit, Mr. White.
And the best part of that is he's singing like, I quit. I quit. And then he just goes, I quit, Mr. White. Like, super serious. I'm like, ugh.
We get it, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Love
Blow
that
me.
one. This is a really random one that I love to say. I don't know why, and I rarely get to say it out loud, but occasionally maybe you do. When Lenny and Jimmy come to the store to ask Guy to be in the band, there's watching that, like, terrible show with the puppets, which is a whole other, like, problem for me. Puppets, we know. But Lenny's like, look at this. Like, my grandma and I, we've been watching this. We've been watching this.
This is my new hairstyle.
3 weeks. 3 weeks we've been watching this show, and last week she says she realizes they're strings, they're puppets, and Jimmy looks at him. He's like, "They're marionettes. That's what they are." He's just like such a wet blanket, like you said. Like Lenny's telling you a funny story, like laugh, but he has to be like so matter of fact. And he's like, actually, they're called marionettes.
I don't
he
know
just
how
sucks.
they hang out with that guy.
But
Or why
whenever
they're
someone
friends,
mentions
or like,
marionettes or puppets, I always say that line in my head.
does it happen a lot?
Well, like I said, maybe like one time it's happened, but it's pretty good, funny
remind
when
you.
it does. Or I can also use it if like someone says the wrong term for something, and I'm like, it's marionettes. It's what they are. So there's that one. I also love just saying Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters whenever I can. I like to say Villa Pianos, like Guy does it, like that line, Villa Pianos. I like saying that whenever I'm cooking anything Italian. Whenever I need to sign something, I always say, give me a pen, I'm signing, you're signing, we're all signing.
I love how Letty like takes control. He's
Yeah.
like, are we nuts? Like,
Why wouldn't
get
we
outta
sign this
here.
contract?
Yeah.
And then in the State Fair one, they're like interviewing the guys, and Lenny's like, and the guy goes to ask Lenny a question, and Lenny's like, oh, I'm not here with these fellas. I got myself a pig up in the competition, and I'm gonna take home that blue ribbon. But I like to just say oh no, I'm not here with these fellas. Whenever, I don't know, just these things happen. It's not like a set thing. I think those are the main ones. Yeah, I think Wolfman Too Scary. I like that one too. Wolfman Too Scary. Switch.
Yeah, Wolfman is awesome. I mean, he's too scary, but very cool. I brought this up when we were watching this. How the bass player goes missing because he like meets these Marines and befriends them. He's going to be enlisting in the military and goes to boot camp at the end of August. So it was always he was going to leave anyway. So he doesn't like show up. And he goes missing, and they're like, well, we need to like get a new bass player because we're going on this TV show. So Mr. White gets a professional bass player, and it's like, this is like a super common thing in the industry, right? So you just have these guys who just fill in and who are amazing musicians, and you can just like give them the sheet music, and they know it within 5 minutes. And it's kind of awesome. So like put Wolfman in the suit, and he's just part of the band. And then he's like singing with them, which is also the first time I like noticed that on this watching. I was like, whoa,
He's
Wolfman
like
sings.
celebrating with them at the end. I'm like, whoa, like you didn't earn that.
No.
Put that drink down.
Which must be weird for a band that like has even though they were only together for 2 months, and even like the guy character was like pretty new. Like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But cool. But he's like, Wolfman's so cool. And then he like goes to the practice, and he's like, they kind of has a big blowout, and the whole thing kind of implodes. And Wolfman's like, well, guess you don't need me today. Like, later, dude. And I love how Tom Hanks like, let's do something this weekend.
I know, like they're buds. Like,
I'm like, that's never
he just
happening.
like calls Wolfman up. Yeah.
I was like, you're never going to call
that's
him.
not happening.
I
Yeah.
was like, what a fake thing. Like,
Yeah.
what a throwaway.
Dumb. Totes. Okay. So now let's talk about one-hit wonders. So can you think
this was the
of some
research you
good-
were doing?
yeah.
You wouldn't show me?
So think of some
Bastard.
one-hit wonders.
Okay.
I wrote down a few notables, but see
What
if you
time
think of
period?
any. Well, any, but these seem to
90s?
mostly be from the 90s.
I feel like there was a lot.
Well, right, because they
was
were
the
just like
time.
churning. I mean, like any band that was on Jock Jam's probably a one-hit wonder.
Barbie Girl.
Barbie Girl. I didn't even think of that.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Bitch.
Good
that
one.
one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't think she had another hit song.
Jimmy Eat World.
It just takes some time. Good one.
Was that on your list?
No.
None of these are
These are
on your list?
90s. I've got.
These are all 90s, I just said.
That was odds. I think the 2000 Jimmy Eat World. Yeah. I had Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back,
Good one. Good one.
pop, very famous one. Right Said Fred, we talked about before. I'm Too Sexy.
Model. You know what I
mean,
mean, and I do my little turn on the catwalk.
The Macarena.
I
didn't read this one, but I remembered it in my head. I'm blue, I'm a blue, dabba 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 dee dabba da dabba. It's not if
They
I was
always
green,
like,
I
play
would die.
those at the dances, and I'm like, why? Because you would just see people would just be standing still and like moving their arms in like
Yeah.
a weird robot like.
It wasn't a
movement.
pleasurable song.
It was awful.
to play. And then get this. Oh, here's two others before I talk about these two. Aha, Take on Me. Vanilla Ice. So, funnily enough, two people that are pretty famous one-hit wonders are either in this movie or do something in this movie. What? Who are they?
The real people.
Yeah. One is an actor in it. The other does something else having to do with the movie.
having to do with the movie. One is an actor in the movie.
Who's the only musician that you remember in the movie? Oh my god, Chris Isaac.
Oh yeah.
So Chris Isaac had that song "Wicked Game," which was a huge hit, and he had another song too, but I guess it wasn't a hit. But so "Wicked Game" was like, "Oh, I wanna fall in love," and the video was like black and white and very sexy, like sex
Him and
on the
a model
beach.
on a beach or something? Yeah.
It's like too much sex for me. Don't watch that before bed. And then the second one, Tony Basil. Hey Mickey, she did the choreography for the movie.
Yep, read that.
And so Hey Mickey, total one hit wonder.
Hey Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Mickey, hey Mickey. Yeah. There's a lot more out there if you like really like dig into it.
So much.
It's a lot of people. It's
fun.
just it's just it's not that they weren't like good musicians, but just like they didn't have, you know.
Chumbawamba.
Oh my
I get knocked down.
In most cases, I'd say glad they were only one hit wonders because a lot of them were really horrible songs that were just like brought and were able to be made in that moment of time, right? Like they wouldn't have been successful at any other time, but the world was just, the stars were aligned at that moment that like a song like Chumbawamba would come over from Australia with all those like weird Australian things that like nobody knew.
They're Australian? I thought they were British.
Well, no, it was all those like weird.
They always had like British things. They have the intro to like brass,
songs that remind me of the
off
better
at the beginning
times.
of their,
Oh, Johnny
that speech
boy,
in the beginning of Tub Thumping is from Brassed Off,
door neighbor.
which I thought was a British film.
Maybe you're
maybe
right.
not.
Why did I
don't
think
know.
it was Australian?
It could be. I don't know. I just always assume they were British because they're
does
talking
that
about like
mean?
drink a lager drink. I don't know. That seemed like a British
He
thing.
drinks a whiskey drink. He drinks a lager drink. He drinks a soda drink.
Like,
he sings the songs that remind him
Remind
of the good times.
He drinks the songs that remind him of the better times. They had another song that was like, I have amnesia. Remember? It was like, who are you? I don't know, something like that.
How do you spell Chumbawamba?
It's Chumbawamba. First hint, it's Chumbawamba,
I'm
not
finding
Chumbawamba.
anything here.
Chumbawamba. Oh
I think I was thinking of tub thumping.
Tub thumping. I get knocked out, but I up again.
Wamba. It's third most.
Only the third for Chumba.
Oh, you're right. No, it's British.
Okay.
Oh my God. The first member is Alice Nutter.
Classic. Classic. The Cardigans. Love me, love me.
I feel like they had
say
another song.
that you love me.
They had
Are you
another
confusing them
song.
with the Cranberries?
No.
It might be. I think it must be such a relief to be a musician and have like a second hit, and you're like, phew, made it.
I
You
mean,
got
that's
out of the one hit
terrifying.
wonder. Yeah.
Because you
Crazy.
will tour and be like super successful on one song, like this movie shows. But yeah, you have all these other songs. You're like, I want to show you all these like great songs.
Well, if somebody likes you, you still buy their album. Like I had Aqua's album. Oh my god, they had this other song called
Well, there's
Mr.
a Cardigans
Jones.
Essentials, and you're like, wait, what are these other songs? I don't recognize these other ones.
Or no, Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones, Jones,
Oops.
calling Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones, get up now. Love Aqua. Good times. Okay, Jewel is not a one-hit wonder. What is this?
What?
Why is that up
That's
there?
not Jewel.
Oh, it looked like the Pieces of Me
Calm down.
album.
The Cardigans have a ton of albums.
Maybe
though.
they're famous in the UK or something.
Yeah.
In Europe.
1996, by the way.
What?
That the Love Fool came
Yeah, good. Love that song. Good one. What about Sophie B. Hawkins, who I always thought was Sadie Hawkins, and I was like, is that where the Sadie
What's that song
Hawkins
again?
dance come from? Damn, I wish I was your lover.
Make sure you were smiling and warm.
You just made like so many people download these songs.
Tonight I'll be your mother. That part was weird.
Your mother? I thought it was a woman. Tonight I'll be your woman. Why do you want to be your mother? Ew, look at those words.
Do such things to ease your pain.
Ew,
For your mind, you won't be
No,
the same.
no.
Sophie,
Sophie,
part of
no.
that song when she's like, "Shucks, you're the only shoe that fits." That's a good karaoke.
I love that song. Yeah, we're
And
kind
then
of
when it gets like really intense at the end, it's like, okay, we're listening to this after. not now.
yeah, we're listening to a lot of songs. There's a lot of songs like that where you're.
Let me in. That part. She's like,
I mean, you're really just saying all of the parts. It's good, yeah. And then remember we were singing that song the other day. That's like wishing well, kiss and tell.
good.
The whistle part.
You're a
I can't do
horrible
it.
whistler. Do you have a dry mouth? Are you parched?
Yes, I've been talking this whole time for an hour and 13 minutes about that thing you do.
Parched?
I'm dying. Anyways, I could do one-hit wonders all day. Maybe we'll talk about them on Twitter tomorrow and get people invested. But yeah, download all those hits. Staten Island. So I thought of that the other day.
I want the lyrics. You know,
Oh my god, you're playing the song. Oh my god.
Stop.
Oh my god.
well, Apple Music has this cool thing where you can go like this and it'll show you the lyrics sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
But not this time. They don't care enough about Sophie B. Hawkins. I just love that I thought it was the same thing as Sadie Hawkins. You didn't think that was classic Sweety? No. Okay. Anyways.
Ready?
I'm so ready.
Where
I love sitting here.
lyrics? Information.
Oh my God, what did you
track
search?
listing.
Damn, I Want to Be Your Lover lyrics?
Yes.
Or did you
Okay.
just search Sophie B. Hawkins?
Oh, here it is.
Okay. Dead air is always.
I'm reading it.
Get to the
it's like
part.
weird.
Where's the fucking part? Why is it taking so long? How long is this fucking song? Damn, I wish I was your lover. Damn.
Well, there's just so
Wish I was
many.
your mother.
Oh, I got it.
Everything. Tonight I'll be your mother.
See?
I just don't agree with. I don't agree with that. It's a weird thing to put in a song. It's gross. We don't need guys to like. Also, we don't need to be their mother. This has caused many problems and many relationships.
Free your mind and you won't feel ashamed.
It's a good song, though.
Shucks.
So download that
So good.
song tonight
Good one.
and listen to it. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, but another good feel-good flick, guys. Get on it. Again, we said Stars, free on Stars if you want to get on that. Or rent it. You know, do a little rental as
If
we've
your
been doing.
Stars app doesn't work and you have to
Racking
rent
up,
it anyways.
$2.99 fees on Vudu. But yeah, this is so fun. So our next movie in the whole agenda of our random selections is going to be
The Money Pit,
Woo! Good one, good one. Oh, that'll be really fun.
which is on Netflix. So
Damn.
get watching that one if you want to
Yep.
prepare.
Yep.
Good times.
Pre-game, guys.
Love it.
Pre-game.
Ooh, yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Come and find us on Twitter at the Sweety Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you for listening. We love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.